Share. Okay, so someone confirmed that you can see. It says, are you good at, and it has the word trust.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. So if you would, share with us your industry. Yay. Share with us that one industry that's not currently represented in your chapter. And some of you did this exercise last week, and I'm working on helping you with some introductions. Wendy, I've got a neat plan in place for getting a home inspector for you, I believe. And I'm doing this totally from memory. I do have a list, but we had a massage therapist. We were on look for, I believe, for someone in our Roswell group. Can't remember. We had CPA and accounting for another, but I'll refer to my list. But for today, go ahead and type in or share with us what is your industry, and what I want to talk about is let's figure out a way to get you in front of them and then work on trust, because they're not going to just become an instant referral partner because they join your BNI group. Or okay, Andrea, a commercial banker, and is that from a big boy bank, a bigger bank, or a community bank? Do you have a preference? And Andrea is in the Cobb Connectors Group Community Bank. So up in the Powder Springs area, we are looking for an introduction to a community banker in the Powder Springs area for her. So, so let's identify how can we find them first, and then we have to work on trust, right? And so ways to identify would be, other than just walking into the bank, and would you say, and I'm going to use Andrea as an example, would you say that you could send business to the banker as well, Andrea? I know the answer, but just want to confirm. Yes, of course. And that would mean that being in your industry in accounting and CPA world, you will know what their cash flow looks like, right? Let's see, business attorney, let's see, focusing on small, Jefferson. I'm assuming you go by Jefferson because that's what it says, so I just want to make sure. So we have Jefferson, an attorney focusing on needs of small business. Business brokers would be good. Several visited but not joined, okay? So we are going to talk about what to do with those folks, right? Monty says general contractors. So I would start with, and I always talk about the who do you know personally. So that means the people that you've come across. Maybe you don't know them, and you can't see my air quotes. There's the air quotes. You kind of sort of know them because you met them briefly, maybe at your BNI meeting, Jefferson, or maybe you've crossed paths in a fundraiser. Maybe your kids go to school together, right? So think of the people that you kind of know. And I do this exercise all the time, and I know some of you are like, all right, already, I know this, but you haven't done it. So we need to actually do it, you know, just do it, right? Taking the term from the Nike folks. But I think having a clear plan really matters. So I want you to come up with this one industry, and I know some of you haven't put one in here, one industry not represented at your chapter, and some of you have the list together of who you know. And then I want you to think about what, and I mentioned the collaborative marketing or junk mail that has come your way. And I want you to think about asking your members, send an email to your referral partners, that's your BNI members and other close referral partners, and ask them specifically, not in a group email. And this is who do others know? So who do you know and who do others know? And so start with the who do you know and literally make a list. And I've got a worksheet I'm going to send as a follow-up to the webinar, so it will help you. Sometimes having spaces to fill is really key. And so making the list, and then of who you know, and then who do others know. And that's your referral partners, reaching out to people in your office, asking your LinkedIn connections who they know in that industry. And not because you just want to sell to them, right? You've got to make sure that these folks know that you have value too. You could give business, right? Jefferson, you could give business back to a business broker with what you do. So we all have value. It's not that we're wanting to take. We are actually wanting to develop a sincere referral relationship with someone. So asking the people that you know, any other ideas from coming up with a list of people? You can certainly do a Google search, but I like to go on referral, either of people I know and people that others know. It's that transfer of trust, right? And so I would love it if from here, and then let's also not forget, that thing called BNI and our resources there. So if we were to go on to BNI Connect and ask for, and just pull up a list, actually, if we were to do that right now, or actually, I don't want to mess up my viewing, because once I start sharing and unsharing the screen, then you guys get a black screen. But if you're at your computer, go to bniatl.com, scroll down just a little bit, and you can do Find a Member, and do the advanced search for Find a Member, and type in an industry. Now, some of those keywords will be a little tricky, but if you'll pull it up and type in an industry, that's just people in our local region, right? But I would encourage you to connect with people, and maybe it's someone outside the area that does business in Georgia that they can refer to you as a referral partner. I know the idea would be, let's get someone to join your chapter, but we're here to help your business first, and secondarily, your chapter will grow. So if we were to look at that, find and connect with these other industries, not just locally, but also within BNI Connect. Go and find groups that do this type of thing and ask them who they know through associations in your area. And you may think that's far-fetched, but it really is not. Some attorneys through the bar can find an introduction for you. Maybe they don't know them thoroughly, but they can use that resource. Their contractor associations, banking, mortgage banker, banker groups, not mortgage banker convention, but they're different trades associations that they can help you uncover some folks. And so what do we do when we contact them? Well, you pick up the phone and you call them and you say, hey, Bob, use Bob a lot. You don't know me, but, and the idea would be if someone knows them, to ask for the email introduction. And it would say something like this. So I'll back up just a second to say, hey, and I do this all the time. I asked for introductions to some family law attorneys with Mally out of the BAG chapter. And she said, well, because I have some folks looking for family law introductions. And I said, I just reached out to one of our members and I said, hey, it actually counts as a referral to me. So could you, if you have someone in mind in these specific areas, would you just simply email introduce me to them? I've got someone that wants to partner with a family law attorney. It's another attorney in a group, and they really want a family law person. So same kind of thing. And she said, sure. And she just worded it as, hey, Kathy has someone in mind to introduce you to that has referrals or has opportunity to send referrals to a family law attorney, and they don't have one that they like, know, and trust. I thought I would introduce you guys. So ask for just something like that, and then you reach out to that person. And Jefferson, in your case, the business brokers, maybe they didn't join. I would reach back out to them, have a one-to-one, a true one-to-one. And if you're a newer member or you haven't used the sheets in a while, actually go and download the one-to-one planner and send them a very strong one-to-one planner to show the value. Because sometimes I think people visit and they're not followed up with by our members, unfortunately, because we get busy and distracted and all these things. And we don't show them, hey, we're people of value as well. And reaching out to them to say, hey, let's collaborate. Even if they choose not to join, you're not following up with them to get them to join. You're following up with them just as a business person to say, hey, I have people and you have people. Why don't we work together and make this much easier on both of us? And so reaching back out to the previous visitors, ask your visitor hosts and your leadership team to pull the list of visitors from your system in the last 6 months. So really important. You probably haven't thought about this, but this is a hidden resource for our members, your own chapter visitor list. To reach back out to those visitors, set up one-to-ones, just grab coffee, go network somewhere else. Yeah, that's really huge. Jefferson, I think that. Do you go by Jefferson or is it Jeff? I want to make sure I'm not calling you by the wrong name this morning. So yeah, I think that's huge. You know, don't even get me started on that whole thing, but there's a lot of, we have, Anita, how many visitors out of our 39 chapters a month that are recorded? Probably about 300 a month in our region. And I guarantee you that's a rough estimate, right? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know that some are not recorded, so there's probably more coming through the doors at your chapter than are being actually recorded. That's why it's really important that all the visitors are registered by the members and the visitor host marks them and all that jazz, but I won't go into that. But go back and use your chapter's database too. Get to know these folks. Does it take a little bit of time? Absolutely. But you can say to them, because think about it, if you reach out to that visitor or to one of these referral partners and say, hey, I'm very genuine in this statement of I want to develop a referral relationship with someone in your industry that will take care of my clients when they have the need. And that is, if it's not sincere, it won't come across, right? And you line up, let's just say, from your list of people that you know and the people that others know. Let's just say I would bet my big toe that you could come up with a list of 10 people in the industry that you have in mind. If you can't, you're not doing it hard enough. I'm being mean this morning, but we using our resources, your brain, your contacts, our contacts, we can come up with at least 10 people that you could call to have this conversation with. Not all of them are going to care or take time. I get that. So that's why if we have 10 and 5 actually are warmed up to the idea of meeting, some people will see it as a sales call. So you have to really position it to call and say, hey, you don't know me, or we were introduced by Bob. Bob speaks really highly of you and your team, your brand, your company, whatever that sincere compliment is. You know, if you have the numbers to back it up, you could say, we have a client list at our firm of 500 or 300 or 15 in a X amount of radius, if that matters, for your industry. But show them value that, you know, we work with clients on a regular basis, and from time to time, we're able, or we need to consult a business broker or a banker or a whatever. And I really need a strong source that I can rely on. Bob spoke highly of you, or your brand has a good reputation, or something, you know, you have good reviews on Google or Yelp, wherever that compliment is. I'd like to, you know, you want to grab lunch, you want to grab coffee, and just explore that opportunity. Do not call and go, hi, this is Kathy, I'm the owner of Carpet Dry Clean, and I want your business, right? That's not how we want to approach it. We want them to ask us, oh, well, what do you do? It might come up already in the introduction, but if you're focused on them and a true client need, this is huge. That's huge. So maybe out of that 10, we would agree that 5 would actually see it as an opportunity and not a bother. And I know if I got one of those calls, I would kind of drop a couple of things and go meet. If it's sincere, if you pitch it wrong, you can't go back. It looks like a cold call, and it is. If it's not sincere and you're not able to really deliver, then you can't make that promise, and that's where the trust comes in. Once they say yes, then let's take a look at, yeah, I love this. It takes years to build and seconds to break it apart forever. So here is where you would be with this referral partner, right? You're on the outside of the circle, and you're kind of peeking in. So let's talk about some things that we can do. I like this one. Trust is equal parts character and competence, right? So look, you can look at any leadership failure, and it's always failure of one or the other. Says Stephen Covey, I like his little snarky glance at there. And I think that's really huge, is to show the sincerity of giver's gain, of helping that referral partner as much as you want their help. And that will come through if we try. And of course, if you guys have not checked out the book Speed of Trust, you might want to do that. So let's talk about this, the strategy and execution. times trust equal results, right? So when we're having our one-to-ones, because just having the introduction doesn't do anything. Now, sometimes that transfer of your referral partner that introduces you, then yes, you're already in that trust. But let's just pretend that those 10 to 5 folks, there isn't. So you have to build that, right? That's where inviting them to come to BNI can build some trust. This is part of the strategy. And I want you to think about this. Don't throw up BNI on them. Don't say, oh, you should come join my group. If you've just met them and you're sincere about it, you first meet with them, get to know them a little bit, build a little bit of trust, intrigue them a little bit with what you do and how good you are. Follow the one-to-one planner. I implore you to follow the one-to-one planner and send it to them ahead of time like we're supposed to, because that will get their attention. If you say, hey, these are, just a little bit of information about me, I find that this is really helpful for when we get together to get to know each other better, but also find out how I can help you and how you can help my clients. There is the last 10 customers worksheet in there. If they see some value on that, they will bite. They will say, wow, this is someone that I actually do need to get to know. I kind of like their personality already. This is strategy plus or times execution, right? You've got to plan it, and what does that look like for you? So you're going to make your list, and we'll talk more about some of this next week. I don't want to give it all away for the month because I still have a couple more weeks in the month for our webinar. But so thinking about your strategy of coming up with your list, and I think maybe you work on that this week for sure. And it is methodical. It takes a little bit of time, but whoa, let's look at that referral source. If that referral source, whether they join your group or not, and again, I would love it if they do. You would love it if they do. If they don't just throw them out. Sometimes people just don't get it, and they might come back around later. So thinking about the dollar amount that you can give them and they can give you over the next year once you develop this trust, that could be pretty powerful. If you have, six clients over the next year that you can collaborate about, that's pretty swanky numbers there. So coming up with your list this week, and by the webinar next week, why don't we talk about it? Let's talk about who they are, how did your calling go, and I'll send some follow-up details to this. I'll post this recording on the webinar if you want to hop back on. Post it on our YouTube channel. But make the list, pick up the phone, send an email. I would definitely pick up the phone. Don't just send an email, but do both. Connect with them. Don't stalk them. Don't get too aggressive with them. Just throw it out there to say, hey, we've got sincere referral business to send to someone. I want to get to know you and your team a little bit better and see about sending some of my clients over. Get those appointments set up, in the next couple of weeks, and then start using that strategy of the one-to-one. And what is the objective? When you're going to meet with them, I think that the one-to-one planner will really help outline very clear objectives for you. And then building trust with them outside of that meeting, it's just like anything else, right? So ask them if they network anywhere. Where do you network? Where do you uncover clients? Where do you collaborate with other business partners? Finding out, and of course, if you do gains profile, you'll know where they network because that's the N in gains, right? It stands for goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. And so, doing a little bit of research with them, finding out, where they networked, and invite them to come network with you, not just to BNI. Again, we get so excited because we're like, come to my BNI group. And this is what I do with my husband as executive directors. But I also, you can't, like I say, throw up. You can't come across too strong because people get a little freaked out by that. So just chill, get to know them a little bit, and then invite them along. So I want to talk about, there's the, 3 levels of trust. We'll go into that a little bit more next week, but and I think this is really huge. We talked about character and competence. There's integrity and intent, experience and results. And so showing that you're full of character and that you know what you're doing, that you're not just hunting for business, because there's a lot of folks that do that out there. I mean, that's why we all like our BNI world, is because it's not about hunting, it's about farming. And I think, and again, I keep reiterating this, but people are so tired of the networking game, right? Anyone? That it's refreshing, networking within all of our BNI groups and structured networking groups like BNI. And then when I go to an event, I'm like, ugh, it's refreshing to come back to that environment where people, the system is set up for uncovering the integrity and the intent, and finding, there are some people that join our groups that maybe come in with not the greatest of intentions. They just join because they see a bunch of valuable people to their business. But once they are brought in a little bit, they get to know each other more because we develop trust and collaboration, and we're helping on a weekly basis. I think they then become less of a hunter and more of a farmer. And y'all probably have seen some members evolve that way. But again, thinking of the inviting someone to your meeting is a huge trust building exercise for you, is because you build trust with your other referral partners. And I'll kind of back up a little bit. Let's say you were to go back to your contact sphere and work with a buddy in your contact sphere to say, hey, in Jefferson, I'm going to use you as an example. Who else could benefit from a business broker in your group? Don't do it alone, right? Have a one-to-one and say, hey, let's put our heads together and figure out, let's come up with a list of 20 business brokers. They may be harder to find than, say, a massage therapist on every corner, but they're out there. Find out what are the trades that they participate in. What are other referral sources that collaborate with business brokers? And sit down with your contact sphere in an appointment, a strategy meeting, to say, hey, you guys, see 4 folks. So think about that. If 4 of you said, you know what, darn it, we're going to get one. Come hell or high water, we're going to have a business broker in our group. We have value among us. Think about all the clients you guys have collectively, or client opportunities collectively the 4 of you have. And if you guys combine efforts to say, I mean, this is where I think we forget as members to really focus our inviting together, because the 4 of you know a lot of folks, and then they know a lot of folks, right? And so I think collaborating to say, okay, by Friday, we're going to do 5 things or 3 things or 1 thing. Just agree to just do something simple together and collaborate with each other to have the results. Maybe in open networking, you guys don't go and chit chat about the game or the Masters. Oh, don't get me started on how that ended out yesterday. But you actually say, okay, Bob, who do you have? Sally, who do you have? Robert, who do you have? What have you done? Use open networking for that strategic stuff, not just chit chatter. Ask every guest that comes through, on every phone call that you guys are on. Hey, by the way, I know it's off topic, but do you know a good business broker in the Metro Atlanta area? And they may be like, I have no idea. But why? Everyone always asks. You'll come up with a good list. So focus together with your referral partners this week. I would love to hear some success stories. We do the webinar and then it's like crickets until next Monday. So use this as a way to trick yourself into doing it. I'm just talking how I know I operate as a business person. It's nice to have accountability, right? So use our Monday mugs as an accountability thing for this month. And oh, by the way, membership extravaganza is going on right now. If you do invite someone, and oh my, if they actually join, your name goes into a drawing for cash. That's not bad. So let's collaborate together. Let's try and by Friday, find you 5, Jefferson, for yours, 5 business brokers to re-invite or first-time invite by Friday. And then, let's talk about it on Monday. And you guys all pick your industry, and let's let's collaborate. Use the things that we've talked about. You have a few minutes before the week takes off. Some of you are already like, "Ooh, I got to go. It's 9 o'clock." I am too. But take to reach out to 5 to 10 people real quick. It takes, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes maybe. So do it while it's fresh and hot on your mind, and try that on for size, and hopefully you'll get some responses, by Friday, and start working on getting them on your calendars and invited. And that's one other thing at your chapter is you get to build trust with your existing members. Go back and use your weekly presentation to say, by George, this is who I'm focused on, and just keep focusing all month, letting them know your efforts of inviting these folks, and networking with business brokers. Again, Jefferson, using you as the example. So at the end of the meeting, when you do actually have a business broker there, make sure you have 2 really good testimonials planted for your 4 people in that contact sphere, so that that person is like, whoa, I liked them pretty well, but wow, they're pretty powerful folks. I need to get to know them better as well. So next week, everybody be prepared. I'll send the link to the recording out. We'll give you a little worksheet if you want, if you're a worksheet kind of person. And then I challenge you to be accountable to yourself and to this call for next week. If you need that trick, then use it. Thanks for hanging on. We're at 9 o'clock. I got to move on. Let me know how we can help. Have a great one. Thanks.